Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another mini exercise. Continuing on here, this is going to, I think, give you a really nice hands-on experience in creating a more interesting sequence using clip dimensions, and more importantly, what I just showed you at the end of that last little video back there on clip dimensions is the clip dimension animation using the simple toggle animation, aka the keyframes. And I'm going to be walking you through how you can simply create or simply amplify this very basic sequence of just 3 still images to actually create this next sequence, which is the same clips, but we have added motion to them and created a boring still sequence and turned it into an otherwise much more interesting and dynamic sequence that just has a whole new element with these clip dimensions that have been altered with the use of the keyframes to create movement in an otherwise still sequence. Now, this is a very simple 6-second sequence. If you guys go to resources, you can download these 3 simple screenshots of my office, one far away shot, one little bit closer to my desk, and then one of my laptop kind of symmetrical onto it. And we're going to be creating this second version of it where we add motion and make this very boring 6-second sequence into a really entertaining quick sequence where obviously there's loads going on and this looks very exciting. And in fact, I'm going to walk you through the whole process. So we are going to delete that I just created there. In fact, delete this as well, which is the folder with all the pictures in there. Delete that and start from the very beginning of this quick sequence. So you guys go to resources. I'm going to go to my clip dimensions mini exercise. Go ahead and download these 3 simple images, a total of 6.81 megabytes. Really, it's not going to take you too long to download these guys right here, and go ahead and drag those into your Premiere Pro. Now, once those guys are down here in your Premiere Pro, just for the sake of organization's sake, we are going to go ahead and create a new bin and call this Pick Example 1. Pick Example 1. And by the way, guys, I'm going to be getting so much more in depth later on in the keyframes actual section on how we can really take even still clips as well as still images and just amplify them so much further. But this is a great way of getting across the importance and overall just how to use the clip dimension animation and overall just the clip dimensions, how tweaking them can improve your sequence. So this is what we're doing. So go ahead and drag one of these pictures into your timeline to create a brand new sequence, and that's going to be called the Pick 10 sequence. Obviously, we can change that again for organization's sake for to Pick Example Sequence. Pick Example Sequence doesn't really matter. And what I want you guys to do is import all of these 3 clips, actually bring them all in there and just trim them down to 2 seconds. So I'm going to just scrub along until the 2-second thing here. I can also see it here. And just go ahead and click C, which is our shortcut for cut, or our shortcut for our razor tool. And just go ahead and give that one a cut at number 2. Delete that. And what we can do is bring this guy over here. Again, come over to 4 seconds. Press C, give that a cut. Same thing on the number 3. Go over to 6 seconds and quickly give that a cut. And now we've just got ourselves a very simple 6-second sequence where it is just simply 3 images, and you could see this is a pretty stale sequence to say the least. A far away still shot, a closer still shot, and a close-up still shot. Definitely a boring sequence. So what I would start with is, of course, the first shot. And what I want to do is start coming into this image. So we want to feel like we are coming towards my desk. So what I would do is go ahead and turn on your toggle animation on scale and position. So this is going to tell Premiere Pro that at 0 seconds, our image is at this scale and at that position. So then when we come over here closer to the end, we can actually put this scale up to maybe 120. And it will have recorded the fact that all those frames change there. So it's really just telling the program with these keyframes that something has changed. So let's go ahead and just go ahead and change that. Yep, that's 120. Now with the position, we could actually go ahead and just bring that down a little bit, just so we bring my desk kind of into the middle of our shot. And that's what I want you guys to follow through me right now. Go ahead and turn the scale to 120. Shift the position so it's so my desk is somewhat the focal objective of our shot, right? That is obviously the focal subject of our shot right in the middle, and the focus is on that. So now if we bring this to the beginning, okay, go ahead and give that a play, that is going to be zooming in, okay? Oh, for some reason, I'm just going to go ahead and put 100 again there. For some reason that changed. Ignore that. But currently right now with your pick number 1, you should have at 0 seconds, scale set to 100 with the toggle animation on, and toggle animation on position on just the default position of this clip. And at the very end, you should have turned it up to 120 scale, okay? So again, for the keyframes, right, it's very hard to get to that last frame, so I often go a few frames before it and put these keyframes in, and then just go ahead and click, drag, highlight them, and just throw them at the end so it does cover the whole image. But just there, that is a successful first clip dimension change right there. So now we can move on to that second pick. And the way my mind works is we want to do one going in, one coming out, one going in, because that's just aesthetically the nicest. It just looks the most seamless, and that's what we're trying to pull off here, is turning this boring, stale, still sequence to a seamless, moving sequence. So that comes in right there pretty nicely. Then we can come to the second sequence here, and I just want you guys to turn scale position on. Turn scale animation on and position animation on. And if we want this zooming out, obviously, if we were to zoom out now on the scale, right? So if we were to turn that to 90, this is beyond the clip dimensions. So we can't start it at 100. So what I would do for here is go ahead and highlight both of these after you've put the toggle animation on, and just put those at the end. So this sequence is going to finish on those dimensions there, and then we can actually go ahead and just bump that up to 120, so it's kind of the same amount, and bring this guy down a little bit, so we again try bring the desk into the middle of our screen and make it the subject, even though there's really nothing else to be focusing on here, but just try and get everything nice and symmetrical here. So once that desk is in the middle, now if we give this a play, it is going to be zooming out. So that right there is a really nice combination where it can zoom into my desk, then starts coming out and it's a little bit closer. And then this one here, as we saw in my original example that I created, this is going to be zooming in but rotating as well. And there's even a further method that we're gonna have to go through for the rotation, seeing is on this one right here, it's kind of the same thing as us turning the scale to 90. There's not enough to work with here. All of our image is on screen. There's none left off, so there's not really much to work with. So what we're going to have to do for this image right here, and we're going to get into much better methods of this later on, but this is the simplest method of doing this right here, would be to actually increase the scale to maybe a 120, so we have a little bit more work room and room just to mess about. Go ahead and make this laptop so it is the center of attention, as we want to just kind of make that as symmetrical as possible. And then what we could actually do is go ahead and have the rotation, is rotate that as far out as you can until you see these black bars at the top start coming through. So we can rotate that about to like here. We can maybe move that up to make it fit in a little bit more, just until there is rotation, but you're not actually getting the edges cut off. And then what we can do here is go ahead and put a scale and turn the rotation animation on and the position as well, then go as close as we can to the end. Go ahead and change that rotation now to 0, so it would have rotated in, and go ahead and make this scale, let's say a 140. So if we have just increased that to a 140, then obviously the position needs to be altered a little bit to bring this maybe down here, or like here, just whatever's looking good to you guys, and just be following on with more or less exactly what I'm doing, unless you see a much better way to do it. Then once I've done all those, I would just again drag those to the end, and now we can just give this a play to see what it's looking like. So this is nice and zooming in, then that is zooming out, looking really nice, and then that is like rotating onwards, and overall, just like that, in a matter of just a few minutes, we have created a really boring sequence. You remember what this looked like? We could just go ahead and import all these clips here, and just go ahead and throw them over here, just so I can quickly cut them to be the same size real quick. And okay, so now if we drag those, if we drag those next to it, or just to play afterwards, if we give this a play, this is what it's looking like now, and then directly after it's going to play the boring really boring, stale sequence. So that's what we just turned into a much nicer sequence. It's not even comparable. It's not even really worth watching. But that beginning bit now here is a really nice quick sequence. And that right there, guys, is to me just a little preview for you of the ability that the clip dimensions and more importantly, clip dimension animation is really going to be doing to your sequences, going to be really leveling it up, taking it to the complete next level. Overall, that was a quick little mini exercise there. Really hope you enjoyed, guys. And without further ado, let's crack on.